D.C., and a house on Garden Street in which Graham's family had once lived. Sitting next to Douglas Nielsen at a New York performance resulted in an invitation to spend 5 days in Tucson at the University of Arizona, where he was dean and director of dance. There, I lectured to Jim Clauser's dance history students and performed my talking dancing solo Body in Print. More important, Doug took me to the Desert Lodge, where Graham had visited her retired younger sister Geordie, took me up Sabino Canyon, and invited me to visit classes and performances and join a faculty dinner. He also made sure that I saw relevant holdings relating to Graham in the university library and made it possible for me to interview Dan Leach, who had known Graham years before. When I visited Bennington College, faculty member Dana Reitz, dancer, choreographer, teacher, led me and my husband into the small upstairs theater in which a number of Graham's works were first seen, showed me the studios where she had taught and the rooms in which she had been housed, and talked with me at the coffee shop in town. The great expanse of grass looked much as it had when the luminous New York faculty members strode across it, and they still live in the photos and films taken by their students. Sometimes people I wrote to or talked with, pestered, gave me a sudden flashing memory, a word, a fact, a story, an image. I am thankful for their valuable contributions. 1. From coal-fed Allegheny to Santa Barbara's ocean. In 1971, Martha Graham spoke deprecatingly and with winning frankness to an interviewer. Among the 3 daughters of Dr. George Graham, she had not, she said, been the pretty one. Mary was blonde and gorgeous. Geordie had curly auburn hair and big, beautiful eyes. And then there was little old slit-eyed me. But it was, of course, Martha, the eldest of the 3, whose cheekbones photographers came to adore, and who, as a dance artist adventuring into new, somber, and challenging territory, was often caricatured in her skeletal glory by newspaper cartoonists. In any case, it was never conventional beauty that made people look twice at Graham. Even when she was a rather plain little girl by the standards of the day, she had a sense of herself and could summon an imperious manner when she thought a situation called for it. Disliking the experience of being on a train, 4- or 5-year-old Martha informed the conductor, "I'm Dr. Graham's daughter, and I want out of here." She was proud of the fact that her dainty little mother, Jane Beers, usually Jenny or Jeannie, could trace her lineage back to Miles Standish, the well-born military officer who arrived on the Mayflower in 1620, hired to help organize that first British colony on American soil. Miss Beers, the eldest of 3 sisters, would have been about 22 years old in 1893 when she eloped with George Graham, 14 years older than she and a covert ladies' man. The family was strictly Presbyterian. The daughters, Martha, born 1894, Mary, born 1896, and Georgia, born 1900, attended Sunday school. Martha even taught there at one point. On the Sabbath, the only toys they were allowed to play with were brown and white blocks with biblical scenes on them, which the often rebellious eldest daughter detested and declined to touch. In the many interviews Graham gave over the decades, she polished the memories that remained the most pungent to her and that could be said to have influenced her work. She divided her childhood from her birth until she came of age into 2 distinct parts, the first spent in her father's hometown of Allegheny, Pennsylvania, swallowed up by Pittsburgh in 1907, and the second in Santa Barbara, California, where the Graham family moved when she was 14. It was not just her metamorphosis from little girl to adolescent that she stressed, but the differences between life in the 2 cities and the birthmarks that both left on her art. Many of the dances that later made her famous drew on the dualities of